The story continues with Rick and the survivors dealing with the bodies of the dead. Andrea is grieving over Amy's death and hasn't moved an inch from her sister since the night before. Rick tries to talk to her, but Andrea points a gun at him, forcing him to back off. Daryl suggests putting an arrow through Amy's head to prevent her from turning into a walker, but the group refuses, deciding Andrea deserves more time. Furious, Daryl storms off. He later helps Morales move a body to the fire, though Glenn argues they should bury their own instead of burning them. Meanwhile, Jackie notices Jim bleeding from his stomach. Jim insists it's nothing, but Jackie, suspicious of Jim, presses him to lift his shirt. He gets aggressive and refuses, but the group lifts his shirt, revealing a walker bite. The group realizes Jim is infected. Daryl wants to kill him immediately, but Rick refuses, believing that getting Jim to the CDC might save him as they were working on a cure. Shane disagrees, arguing the CDC is probably abandoned and that Fort Benning, with military protection, is the better option. Rick counters that the military is likely gone too, recalling how he saw soldiers overrun at the hospital when he first woke up. As the argument escalates, Daryl attempts to attack Jim, but Rick stops him by pointing a gun at his head and moves Jim to a safer place. Dale later comforts Andrea, sharing how he lost his wife to cancer before the outbreak. Andrea opens up about her childhood and reveals she wanted to surprise Amy with a birthday present. She places the mermaid necklace she got from the department store on Amy and tells Dale she'll handle things when the time comes. Daryl continues putting pickaxes through the skulls of the dead, and when he reaches Ed's body, Carol asks to do it herself. Though weak, Carol manages to finish the task, feeling both anger and sadness. Relieved she is no longer abused, yet mourning her husband's death. Suddenly, Amy reanimates as a walker and attacks Andrea, but Andrea calmly points her gun at her head and shoots, finally putting Amy to rest. Later, Rick and Shane bury their fallen group members, and they get into another argument. Shane criticizes Rick for returning to the department store to save Merle, claiming it weakened their manpower, while Rick insists retrieving the guns saved the entire camp. Rick asks Lori for her opinion, but she believes both men have valid points and refuses to take sides. When Rick asks about taking Jim to the CDC, Lori admits everyone is scared and warns against chasing hope on a hunch. Jim begins hallucinating and sweating heavily. Rick tells him the CDC could be his only chance of surviving, but Jim admits he has accepted his fate. Shane later asks Lori to help convince Rick to head to Fort Benning instead, believing the CDC will only put everyone at risk. Rick walks out and sees Shane and Lori talking, and Lori tells Rick to trust his instincts. Rick and Shane step into the woods to talk privately, where Shane argues that most of the group disagrees with going to the CDC, even bringing Carl and Lori into it. Their confrontation turns tense when they hear a noise in the bushes. As they investigate, Shane briefly aims his shotgun at Rick from behind, but ultimately lowers it. Dale witnesses the moment, clearly disturbed, but Shane tries to play it cool, claiming that he thought he saw a walker instead. The group later agrees to head to the CDC the next morning. At dawn, Rick contacts Morgan over the walkie-talkie, telling him they're going to the CDC and hoping he'll hear the message. Morales then announces that he and his family won't be going, choosing instead to head to Birmingham to search for other relatives. Rick gives him a gun, some ammunition for protection, and they part ways. During the journey, the RV breaks down, and Jim asks to be left behind, not wanting to endanger anyone else. The group reluctantly agrees, says their goodbyes, and continues on. Elsewhere, Dr. Jenner is shown experimenting on walker tissue when a serum spills, triggering a containment breach. Toxic fumes fill the lab, forcing an automatic decontamination that destroys his research, leaving him isolated and hopeless. The group eventually reaches the CDC and quietly navigates through a horde of walkers. Jenner notices them on the surveillance cameras as walkers begin closing in, causing panic among the survivors. Rick spots the moving camera and insists someone is inside, but Shane believes Rick is imagining things and tries to pull him away. Rick shouts at the camera, begging whoever is inside to open the doors, and just as hope starts to fade, the shutters open, allowing Rick and the group to enter and continue their journey. Thanks so much for watching. If you like this recap, leave a like and subscribe for more 5-minute movie breakdowns. I'll see you in the next one.